Bits to take you through. We're going to have a look at tidying some of our containers ready for spring and summer, looking at the borders and removing some perennial weeds. I'm going to be planting a couple of shrubs and some seeds. A few things that I was going to go through in this show, which I unfortunately can't do because just a couple of days after my birthday, just after the last show came out, I had a little bit of accident on my bike here and came off and I hurt myself and done my ribs in and things. So a lot of the heavy stuff in the garden I just can't do at the moment. I've got to wait for a few more weeks until I heal up. But that's no problem regarding some of the planting of the lighter and easier things. So I'm going to take you through those in this show. I'm going to start off with planting a Philadelphus and a black currant. We're then going to go down to the greenhouse where I'm planting some more vegetable seeds, and we'll see how much time we've then got left to go through tidying our containers as well. So quite a bit to get through in this show, so without any further ado, welcome to April in the Year Garden. Show, I'm going to just be planting up a couple of shrubs here. I've got a black currant and I've got a Philadelphus or mock orange, and these are going to go into these little containers for the first few months before they actually get transplanted into the ground. This will give them a good chance of establishing themselves before I plant them out. So both of these plants will go for a fairly neutral soil. They'll grow in most soil types, but they do like good drainage. So I've mixed in a little bit of horticultural sand in here with some compost, and I'll just make a little hole in the middle of the pot, and we start off with the black currant here, and then we just want to bring out these roots, spread them out so that they can grow nicely in this soil that we're putting them in. And that needs to be deeper than that. I may have to get a bigger pot than this, but let's just see. No, that's going to be absolutely perfect. So we get that down firmly into the ground, spread the roots nicely so they're going to actually grow, and then we just get some more multi-purpose to top that off. Put that into here. Then we firm that down and pop a little bit more compost in there. Bring it nicely up to the top of the pot. And that one's ready to go onto the patio. So with this one we're going to make sure that we've got enough room in the pot here in our soil. And this is our Philadelphus. As I say, these are not going to be staying in here for very, very long. A couple of months probably tops. Just spread these roots out a little bit. And again, we'll bring the compost in there. beautiful white blossom on these trees. And again, just firm that in around, and then a top off, another little dressing compost on the top. Two plants planted, ready to go out into the garden later in the year, so I'm looking forward to seeing how these grow. Well, you may remember in the last show I planted out my courgettes. I can see they are just starting to come through, so that's rather nice. Gladioli are also just starting to show signs of growth, so it's warming up in the greenhouse a little bit, even though we've faced some rather cold weather. That surprising snow we had a week or so ago back was, yeah, something out of the blue. But there we go, we've got to keep our growing going. So I'm going to start today with putting my peas in. Now, you may remember from a couple of years ago I showed you that I use toilet roll middles for planting my seeds. So I've just bound these together with a couple of elastic bands, and I'm going to 3/4 fill these with compost and then put my seeds in the top. So let's do that now. Now, when I planted my peas last time, I was asked just for a little more detail. So this time I'll give you that little more detail. So the toilet roll tubes are held together with just a few rubber bands. Then I about half fill each tube with compost and tamp it down so the compost stays firm inside each tube. Then I will top it up to around about maybe 1 to 2 centimeters from the top, and at that point I'm going to put my seeds in. So I'll just grab my packet of seeds now and we'll pour a few into my hand, and we put one into each container. Just pop one in there. 2, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and then we'll pop the spare seeds back into the packet. Now, the reason that I use these tubes is because the pea has quite a long taproot. Now I'm just going to firm these into the surface in the centre. And when the taproot starts to grow out of the bottom of the tube, they're ready to plant in the soil. And of course, being a cardboard tube, they are going to degrade naturally into the soil. Then all I do is I loosely fill over the top. I've got some compost here which I missed earlier on. Just loosely fill that over the top. Fill that down. And you end up with a nice plug of a pea plant, which you can't go wrong with. So we've got that there. Put that nicely over the surface. Rub that in. Just a slight firming. And then whilst I've still got that on here, I'll put a little bit of water onto there. Get it ready for staying on the shelf in a seed tray. And I've got another pack here ready to go, and some more inside. And we'll do a little bit of successional planting with this, so we'll get these ones going now, these ones going now, and then we'll do the same in around about 3 or 4 weeks to get a later crop, and then we'll do the same 3 or 4 weeks later to get another later crop. So there we have it, our first peas are planted. Well, here at the top of the woodland border, I've got a couple of troughs, which at the moment have got some spring planting in, but we need to get these ready for the summer. Lavender looks a little bit sick, but it's got some green on it, so I'm going to cut that back quite severely, and hopefully that's going to come back through. There are a couple of plants which are gone, and there's a few little weeds in here, so we'll just give this a little bit of a tidy and a top dressing, and we'll get it ready for our summer planting this year. Well, one of the first things that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to just take this lavender down quite sharply. You can see some new growth lower down, so we're going to give it a good old haircut, and then hopefully it will regenerate and go into a nice plant again for next year. Just take that right down here. You can still smell that lovely smell of lavender. So I'm going to take that out. A little bit of compost to fill there, and a couple of weeds to get rid of here, another couple in here. And we can just lay this compost back down around the bulbs that are growing through. Now this plant here, that is dead, so that is going to come out. I'll take the compost off of there, and the problem with this one is it's actually got too wet. And I can feel that feels like a sponge in here, and so unfortunately that basically drowned. So we can put this back nice and neat. And what we're going to do is we're going to start growing some petunias and some begonias to put in here. Another little weed just down here. I'll take that one out as well. The final thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to dress these with some more compost ready for the summer. So we'll just pop the compost over the top, and then when my new plants are ready, we can just pop those in and they'll be happy as Larry. Get a little bit of dead off of there as well. And these will give us a nice bit of colour throughout the summer. So that's another little job that we've got done. Here's another little job that I've got to do. Well, as you can see, the rhubarb is coming on quite nicely at the moment, but these here are my late flowering raspberries, and they fruit on this year's growth. So the ones that I haven't cut right down, they're getting cut down now, and they've got growth coming right at the base. So all I've got to do is just take these out and give them the opportunity of growing into lovely new plants for this year. All the new stems are ready growing, and give it another month, they're going to be back up to this height as well. So I've got to take these out. A couple of brambles I can see coming through here, so I need to lift those as well. And then I've got another rhubarb plant which is ready over the far side there. I have its bucket over the top to bring it through, but I've got to clear the raspberry canes off of that as well. So that's a little job I've got for the next hour or two. Well, it's only when you get up close to your plants you start noticing things. And look at the lovely early blossom coming on this Victoria plum tree. And I've noticed I've got some flowers coming here on the peach tree as well. So spring is definitely bringing its wonders to us. I've got some lovely buds coming on the pear and the apple trees as well. So it's wonderful to see these new signs of life and growth in the garden. How fantastic is that? Well, a couple of years ago, I grew a cutting of a climbing rose, and now I've cleared that fence out from here. I'm surprised to say it was growing there, and it's now a good 6 foot tall. So I've dug a little hole here. I'm going to plant it and train it to come up here as well. And also the clematis that I saved from being crushed on the ground, on this I'm going to train up this side, so it's going to give us some beautiful colour joining in with the gorgeous honeysuckle on this side. So let's plant that now. Well, this end of the garden looks a real mess at the moment, but when I've cleared all this through, we're getting the pond extended through, it's going to look absolutely beautiful. But at this moment in time, I'm going to be planting this lovely rose in the ground here. The arch is now settled in, and we're going to get this dug into the ground. So just clear this hole a little bit more. So it's going to take this rose. Let's grab the plant here. Got to watch my hand on the thorns. And this has been growing rather well. As I say, I've transplanted it. We're going to have that there. That's going to grow in here. I'm going to tie that in up here. And we're just going to take some of this soil, put back over the top here. And it's going to be absolutely stunningly beautiful. I'm so pleased this has survived the moving of all the bits and pieces around it. So we just bring that in here. Oh, lots of rubbish in here, but we're going to make sure this is all nice and tidy and clean. So that's the first part here, just about done. So now I'm just going to press this down in firmly. And then bring a little bit more of this loose soil over the top. Look at that, beautiful. And this will grow beautifully up here. Now what I've got to do is I've got to tie this plant up the side here. Now I've got some standard twine here, and I'm going to bring it up just a little bit at a time. Hopefully I won't cut myself too much on the thorns. Separate this off a little. There we go. So we've got two sections, and I can bring that in around here. And so we're just going to tie this in. We won't do it too tightly. We don't want to restrict the growth on the rose itself. Oh, just got to watch these thorns. They're quite sharp on the hand. Bring that round here. And I'm going to give it around about a centimetre to half a centimetre of looseness, just to allow the stem to grow. There's the first section. Now, how are we going to present this? Yes, we can bring that up like so. That's nice. Let's take a little bit more string off of here. And we're just going to bring that over to this side. And I'm sure when this is growing up round the arch, it's going to look absolutely stunning. And we'll do exactly the same again. We'll give it around about a centimetre of spare, and then just tie that off there. It's going to look a little bit tatty for a little while, but in the end it's going to look beautiful. Now we've got the other section here, and I'm going to bring that underneath there and up on this side. So we're going to need to tie that in at the base there, just to give it the right shape. So pleased that I found this plant again after all this time, and the fact that I grew it from the cutting makes it even more splendid to myself. So again, giving it that little bit of space to grow. And tie that off as well. Oh, I didn't get that very right, so let's just open that up again. Right, let's try that again. Get it nicely in there. There we go. When your hand's a little bit dodgy, it's not the easiest of things to do. Nope. I will get it right in the end. Aha, actually achieved that there, and that's coming up there nicely. So I'm not worried about that one being out, but I'd like that one to be secured. So if we bring that round that side there, let that one come out that side there, and then I can tie that there, and we'll have the preparations of some lovely growth. So you remember in a couple of shows ago, I put the clematis onto this temporary frame in order to put it onto this arch here. So I need to do a little bit of tidying and moving things out of the way. So let's just do that now. Clear that out of the way, and then we've got all this dead out of the road, ready to sort out the clematis from here. And this is growing beautifully, and all I want to do is take this and I'm going to bring it round so that it's going to grow naturally up around this rose. And if I pop that through the top here, it will naturally set its tendrils out. We can remove that. There's a little bit more there. Oh, look at that, that's beautiful. Clear this rubbish away. That is now going to grow nicely up here. Clear that and clear that. So this plant has then got a good chance of growing beautifully up the rose arch with the rose. Oh, this is going to be absolutely beautiful. These will join up together at the top of the arch. They're going to give us so much joy and colour. And on the clematis, we've already got some nice early buds on here. So I'm looking forward to the lovely scents and smells and the colours that we're going to end up here. I'm just going to go and get my watering can now and water this in. Then we've got to start tidying and levelling the surface, ready to dig out the new area for the new pond. But this is going to give us a defined area to work in. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy this in the few shows to come in the future. So let's get on with that now, and I'll probably fill you in with that in the next show. Well, for those of you who've been watching this channel for a few years now, back in episode number 16, I planted up this shrub border in the front garden. And one of the shrubs I planted was this small magnolia, Leonard Messel. And just wanted to share with you the fact that it's coming into flower for the first time, which is absolutely wonderful. So I'm looking forward to seeing these flowers when they fully open. Well, that's the end of today's little show. I'm sorry it's not been as full of detail and products and things that I wanted to bring you, but as you understand, I had that little issue 3 weeks ago, but my hand is a lot better now. Still got a problem with the ribs. That's going to be another couple of weeks, but there we go. That's all out of the way. Now, I did show you earlier on the planting of the seeds for my peas, and they are now starting just to come through, because that's now 3 weeks back I did that. My courgettes are coming through lovely, and everything is really coming together for a really nice year. Also, the magnolia, the Leonard Messel in the front garden, that's now in full flower, as you can see from the picture here, and I'm really pleased with that. And as that plant continues to grow over the years, it's going to fill us with so much more joy. So there's a lot of things that we've been doing. I did the planters and tidied those up, and we're getting little bits and pieces done, and as my health picks up, I'm going to be able to get digging and changing things, and oh my word, it's going to really be fantastic. But all I can say is, now the day is getting longer, we can just enjoy the garden more. Now, whether we're sitting in it, whether we're working in it, whatever, it's a time to really appreciate these longer hours. Now, the ground is so wet at the moment, I've not been able to sort the grass out, and I really hope in the next couple of weeks I can get out and give it a bit of a high cut, and then get some seed and some feed down to encourage the growth, as we do at this time of year. But it's just not quite right at the moment. But there we go. I hope you've enjoyed today's little show, and I'd love to thank a particular viewer at this point for saying that I should be the armchair gardener. And I think that's a lovely thing to say, because I do like to sit in the garden and enjoy. And if only I had an armchair in the garden, that'd be fantastic. But there we are. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you ever so much for joining me on today's journey, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up on some of the things that I've not been able to do in next month's show. But I will now leave you with a small glass in my traditional way, and I've got a little drop of Cabernet Sauvignon, and this one is from South America. So I'm feeling a bit chilly, am I? Oh yes. Stay safe, keep well, be kind to each other, and happy gardening. Cheers.